Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Gam Ganapate Namaha. Om Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Devo Maheshwaraha. Guru Deva Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Sarva Mangala Mangalle Shive Sarvartha Sadike. Sharanye Trambake Devi Narayani Namostute. Ya Devi Sarva Bhuteshu Mahalakshmi Rupena Samstita. Namastasya, 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 namo namaha. Om namo Narayanaya. Om namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om namah Shivaya. Shri Hanumate Namaha. Welcome to Nitya Satsang. Today is the 17th of June, 2026. I want to offer prostrations, Anandagodi Namaskaram, to all the great sages and to Bhagavan, Paramatma, residing in the heart of every single being at all times. We're continuing to examine verse number 47, chapter number 2. The breakdown of the verse is as follows. Karmani eva adhikaraha te ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phala hetuhu bhuhu ma te sangaha astu akarmani. This is verse number 47 of chapter number 2. So to continue from yesterday, we are going to examine multiple concepts today, and these are fatalism, egoism, quietism, and akarma. What they actually mean, these four concepts we're going to look at as a continuing exposition on this, and then we will go into discussion and dialogue at about 9 o'clock or so, 9:05, something like that. So this verse rejects three major distortions, and they are fatalism, egotism, and quietism. I'll explain what they are carefully. Fatalism is this idea, is the belief that human action is meaningless because everything is predetermined or beyond one's influence. This is called fatalism in philosophy. Fatalism. If you're taking notes, hopefully you are. Write it down, because we do have these kinds of thoughts. We, meaning in the human condition, we do think this way sometimes. Fatalistic attitude. Understand the words carefully, how they're used. Right? So the word fatalism is a belief. It's the belief that human action, all human action, is meaningless because everything is already predetermined. It's already determined by God or by universe or this. We really don't have any control over anything. This is called fatalism. So this verse rejects this idea that this is not true. Interesting. This is called fatalism. Now, egoism is what? This verse also rejects egoism. That is the self-centered belief that the individual alone controls, owns, and deserves the fruit of action. Sachin performs action, we perform action, we get a fruit, we get the results. But the ahankar, the ego, says it's a self-centered belief that I am the one alone who deserves the fruit of action, who will control the fruit of action. This is how we operate, human beings. In everything we do, we perform actions, we get results, and then with those results we hold on to them with our ego, with a self-centered belief that me alone, I own my result. Of course, we are responsible for the results, but we take ownership of the result. We want to control the result. And the feeling that I deserve the fruit of my action. I work so hard, I deserve that paycheck. I deserve my all A's. You have to give me the right payment and right grade and this and that and right whatever, right? That is ahankar. Now somebody will question, wait a minute, what's wrong with wanting to deserve what you should be getting? Functionally, yes, but the ahankar should not be involved in that. If it gets involved in that, we will get trapped inside the law of karma. So this verse, it takes us out of the bondage of the law of karma. Because every action is performed without egoism, and the result is definitely not held by the ego. Very difficult. Because we are brought up this way only. Right? So we talked about fatalism, egoism. We'll get into these further if you would like, but I want to just cover it a bit here. And quietism, Quietism. What is quietism? It is a tendency to withdraw from action under the appearance of spiritual resignation. Sab chhod diya, bas. Kuch nahi karna. Withdrawal. Chhod do. Don't do anything. Don't be active. This is called, I just want to be quiet with myself, with my small group, with my this, with my that. Koi activity karni nahi sansar mein. Very little. People, this happens many times, right? This is called quietism. Quietism. The tendency to withdraw from action under the appearance of spiritual resignation. It seems like बहुत बड़े संत बन गए, साधु बन गए, ये बन गया. Abhi, relationships are all gone and you're just sitting by yourself and doing a lot of sadhana and things like that. Koi activity nahi kar rahe. You're not doing any activity in the world that should be done, ought to be done. Don't feel like doing anything. So it looks like a person has become more spiritual and whatever. But it's not true. It's a withdrawal from action. This withdrawal from action is not spiritual realization. It is another type of bondage. See these 3 points. Fatalism, egoism, quietism, and the fourth one will be akarma. We'll talk about that in a moment. It's incredible. Each one should be understood very, very carefully. Because these three, fatalism, egoism, quietism, what do? They take one into akarma, inaction or refusal to perform duty. That's what Bhagavan Krishna, in the verse, he says very clearly. He's absolutely clear, right? Ma te sangaha astu akarmani. Ma te sangaha astu akarmani. He's very clear. That those words prevent fatalism, egoism, quietism. Action is not irrelevant. Action has to be performed. So when we say rejection of fatalism, meaning that the denial of the meaning of human agency, we have free will, we have actions to perform through our will. The key is to be able to perform the action without possessing the claim to the results. And to move in this manner an hour at a time. Let's look at some examples of this so that this becomes even more clear and applicable. The application is the key. Application is the key. Take the example of driving a car. We sit in our car and we want to go from our home to the supermarket, right? Acme, Pathmark, whatever it is, Zingo's, something like that. You want to go over there. Okay? So we drive the car. That is our karma. We have a goal in mind. The destination is in the mind, yes. But as we're driving the car, there could be a traffic jam, there could be red lights, stop signs. So many things can come about. You have to reach the destination safely. Once the destination is reached and we are at the goal and the car is turned off, that is a result. Right? So the karma is driving the car, getting in the car, driving the car with all the different things that come in driving, and then reaching there, hopefully safely, because we want that. So the result is what? I reached my goal safely. I reached the supermarket safely. I'm using a very simple example to understand this analogy. This is not an analogy, this is real life actually. So reaching there safely, our ego says, I am the one who reached here safely by my efforts. That is our ego. Some people will say, well, whatever is going to happen is going to happen. We don't have control over anything. This is called fatalism. So that's a problem. The ego gets involved and says, I am the one who's making this happen. That's a problem. Another person says, you know what, I'm not even going to go to the supermarket. I'll just have some relative, somebody else bring me something. I don't want to do much. Kuch nahi karna. Keep wasting away. This is quietism. No usefulness to society, to yourself, to others. That kind of a person is not doing anything beneficial for themselves or for others. Right? So all three are problems. So when we are driving the car, and yes, drive the car, go there. But when we reach the place safely, that's the result. Om Namo Narayanaya. भगवान को याद करना, हे प्रभु आपकी कृपा से यहाँ आ गए. Don't bring the ego into this. And why is that? That's the truth. A lot of things could happen in reaching the destination. God forbid. I just saw recently some car accident and all that, somewhere on the nearby here. The whole car was destroyed. 2-3 cars collide. Things, we see these things. Bhagwan is se bachaye. We don't want problems, right? So we ask Bhagwan for krupa. We do our part as karma yogi. But we ask God for grace, for krupa. So when we reach the destination and the car is turned off, take a deep breath. Say Om Namah Shivaya. Bhagwan ka koi bhi naam lena. It's fine. And remember the Lord. That He is the giver of the fruits of action. Don't bring the ego. Our ego says, I am the one. Then this is what we do. How many people have ever gone to a parking lot in the grocery store and said, only by your grace, I'm here. We think of, Bhagwan ki krupa when we come out of terrible situations and stuff like that. What about day-to-day action? Do we remember the name of God and to realize that the result is given by Ishvara, given by the cosmos, which is Ishvara, body of Ishvara. We don't realize that. We live in this ego-dimensional space. In every single action, it is like that. See, then going into the grocery store, now new karma begins. Action begins. Fine. And then we buy all the groceries. And then we check out and bring the groceries home. When we bring the groceries home, do we again place them and say, Om Namah Shivaya. By your krupa, all of this food has come inside here. Kitni krupa hai Bhagwan ki. So many people were involved. It's a whole cosmos, whole earth, and so much revolved around it all, and so many farmers and people, and kitna sab involved before this food comes to us. So whenever there is a result, which is every single day, in everything we do there's a result, not to bring the ahankar into the matrix of the result. And once we know how to do that, Once we realize that we're doing that, our entire mind will open up. It becomes free. It becomes mukta. It becomes liberated. And our actions are highly, highly ethical, dharmic. This is called dharma. Because our actions are the right actions, and in more bhakti point of view, action is performed at the feet of God. Just taking the action, offering it, like how we offer a flower at the feet of Krishna or Radhaji or Shivji. We offer flowers, we offer fruit, right? We can offer our action at the feet. And then when the fruit comes, the result comes, the consequences come, we remember Paramatma, you are the giver, and the ego is not to hold on to that. What are we to do with the consequences? To continue our action further. Have equanimity, have inner freedom, things we talked about yesterday. And continue to utilize the fruit, the result, for the benefit of all. Very difficult. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. See, to say that one's right is to action alone is to define the ethical boundary of the person. We have an ethical boundary. Ethical agency belongs to the person in the realm of action. Ethical agency means what? If you're writing terms down, and this is actually on page 16 of the handout that I gave you all. Ethical agency means what? The capacity to make morally meaningful choices and take responsibility for conduct. Two things happened. Morally meaningful, morality, ethics ought to be done. That is dharma. The dharma means sad acharan. Dharma doesn't mean religious organizations and groups and all that. That's not the definition of dharma. Ethical agency. Agency doesn't mean like an agency, like a social service agency. Agency in psychology means our ability to make a choice, because we are the agent. Agent meaning a person who can make choices and decisions. This is called agency. So ethical agency is the capacity to make morally meaningful choices. And why should we make morally meaningful choices? Because those choices are a form of bhakti, or they connect to bhakti. Dharma is a supporter of bhakti. So our bhakti towards Paramatma is unobstructed, is protected by making morally meaningful choices day to day, hour to hour, minute to minute. That means all five senses are within the domain of morality. Yes, we have free will, and we also realize that the ethical agency belongs to the individual, to us, in the realm of action. What are my actions to perform? My words to use, my thoughts is also action. My physical body, I'm using that for action. One chooses to speak truthfully, not deceptively. Act courageously. Serve sincerely. One has to choose. One can choose to speak truthfully or deceptively. One can choose to act courageously or fearfully. One can choose to act sincerely or selfishly. One can choose to study diligently or carelessly. One can choose to practice faithfully or irregularly. This is all on page 16. So you can always keep that as your background notes. My recordings are here also. This is all about application. It's not just ideas and Sachin speaking something or other or reading some notes or whatever. This is about application. How can we apply all this thing? And we can. Why not? But we should understand it clearly first. We'll not be able to apply these ideas until the application is, until the understanding, we really lucidly understand it. So these are areas of responsibility. One cannot, however, guarantee how others will respond. We don't know how others will respond or react. We don't know that. How the future will unfold, we don't know that also. and how every condition will combine. So many conditions combine together. That's the nature of the sansar. That's why we do Veda mantra. Shri Suktam, Siddha Kunjika, Namah Shivaya mantra. Why we do all this thing? Because we're trying to tap into the higher intelligence so that our path is beautiful, our experiences are wonderful, and there's benefit for everybody. That's the idea. That's the basic idea. Right? So the verse therefore creates a framework for responsible non-control. What an idea that is. Responsible non-control. Meaning what? Full commitment to action. I'm committed to performing action. Like every day, we do the satsang every day. Sachin is a commitment to do this satsang every single day. Alright? But without illusion of absolute command over results. Whatever the result of this will be, how it affects all of you, affects me, affects others. Whatever the results of our daily satsang will be, I don't have control over that, and I'm not living in the illusion of having command over those results. I have only commitment to my activity daily. That's it. Right? So this is one of the most subtle teachings of this verse. Many people believe that if they are not in control, they are not responsible. No, we are in control of our actions, but we are not to try to take control over the result. So if they say if I'm not in control over anything, then I'm not responsible. No, that's not true. Others believe that if they are responsible, they must be in control. That's also not true. So verse 2.47 separates these. One can be responsible without being omnipotent. Omnipotent means being able to do everything. Well, we cannot do everything and control everything. No, it doesn't work that way. I can be responsible now to myself today. What are the steps to take? And leave it at that. One can act fully without possessing the result, without possessing the fruit. To take the example of going to the grocery shopping and buying groceries. Let's say you buy some fruits and vegetables or whatnot. Okay, these are ours, right, in the home. But we take them, we remember Bhagavan, and then we use them, utilize them. But the sense of possession that I earned so much money, so these are my fruits, and this is, ye sab vritti chodni chahiye. This is not of any use. This is harmful. So, no, the fruit is given by Paramatma to sustain the body and do our activity. It is not given for boosting the ego and ahankar and other kinds of distortions. Right, so I don't want to cover too much. There's a lot of points here. We'll talk about it tomorrow. Craving and non-possessive care, egoic doership, instrumentalism. These are all ideas that I do want to cover this because it's good to try to really understand it from multiple points of view. And then if it becomes real in our life, not if, when it will. The notes are good. Understanding it is good. My talking about it feels very good for me. I'm happy about that. We want to do seva. Would like to explain things as thoroughly as possible. That's fine. But more important and significant than all of that is application and realization. Right? To realize verse 2.47, that it comes inside. Karmanyevadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phala heturbur mate sangno sva karmani. This, I want to bring this inside my life. Then the Gita lives inside. Krishna lives inside. That is our goal. Not simply to read material and just to have a lot of words on pieces of paper or on PDFs or whatever. I mean, what's up, theek hai? How much? It's like, example, you could have a refrigerator full of all different groceries. Which eat something from there. If you don't eat anything from there, it will all just sit and rot. The Gita is not going to rot. I mean, this analogy is not perfect in that sense. But it's not going to benefit us until we bring it inside and really chew it up and really digest it with a lot of prarthana, prayer, with mantra, stotra, shastra, mandir and guru parampara. When we go into this, it will become real for us. Not simply ideas, concepts, and whatever, we can say that, yeah, this is all true, but how does that make sense to me, right? So let's talk about it. Let's get into some discussion. Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurume Deva Sarvakareshu Sarvadom Ganganapate Nama Om Rim Swaha Radha Krishna Namo Namaha.